Jason Palmer, one of the hosts of The Intelligence, The Economist's daily current affairs podcast. The Economist's award-winning shows make sense of what matters, from our special series on China's president to our weekly podcasts on business, technology, and American politics. Our journalists provide fair, in-depth reporting on the events shaping the world. To get the annual plan for less than $2.50 per month, search for Economist Podcasts Plus to start listening today.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, National Pizza Day is tomorrow, and we think it's the perfect excuse to get your perfect za. But what do you choose? CityCast Sophia Lowe and I are here with a Pittsburgh pizza expert to help us all find our best pie in the burg. It's Thursday, February 8th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. So before we get into the show today, talking all about one of our favorite pastimes, pizza.
Yes.
Producer Sophia and I wanted to remind you that you can still become a member of CityCast Pittsburgh.
Yes, if you're interested, you can get perks like ad-free listening, one of my favorites, more time to get to the content, and you can find out more at membership.citycast.fm.
Now let's bring on our pizza journalist, Dan Tallarico. Hey, Dan, welcome to CityCast.
Thanks so much for having me.
You know, prepping for this interview made us all crave pizza, so we ordered something that has been recommended actually in our DMs a lot since Sophia first brought this question to the team, or at least to the podcast out loud. Badamos.
Yeah. Badamos is a up-and-coming favorite. Have you had it before?
I never had. I've heard of it.
Megan.
It's been on my list.
I talk about it all the time.
You do talk about it a lot. Sophia campaigned really hard for the white Sicilian. Is that what we have?
Yes, that is what we have. It is my favorite. And also, I actually got it this weekend. Not the white Sicilian, but I had the pepperoni and cheese already. So I wanted something different.
But you also made one this morning. We're looking at your focaccia pizza?
Yes, focaccia pizza. With mushrooms, peppers, and onions.
It is a thick crust situation.
Yes.
But very delicious. Dan, what do you think?
Very focaccia, you got that down. That's solid, super thick, but also squishy, which I think is that's what you want from a focaccia, is like that deception, where it looks like it's going to be really hard, but you get that nice squish, that bounce. So I love it. A+.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, knowing how many pizzas you've tried. I know you write a Substack, and I did a lot of combing through it before having you on today.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah. A lot of great pizza content out there in the city. So someone's got to document it.
Well, Dan, we want to dig into some of your preferences. It feels like pizza is something that everyone in Pittsburgh has opinions on. I know I've personally seen some fights on Reddit about this. Mm-hmm. So let's start with your credentials. Can you tell me what your relationship is like with pizza? How'd you get started?
Yeah, I got started like anyone else. You have a birthday party, you're going to get pizza. I grew up in the North Hills here in Pittsburgh, and at the time, this place doesn't exist anymore, but Luciano's was our go-to place.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, Luciano's was great. And, it's like Luciano's, Monticello's was a big family favorite, and that was just, anytime we could convince a parent to get us pizza, that's what we would go for. And so basically our food revolved around just how can we get this pizza? We'll do anything for it. And so, grew up eating the pizza from the North Hills. Sir Pizza was also a real highlight for us. But then I started working at pizzerias. So worked at Bellisario's, which is a interesting little place up by Duncan Manor, delivering pizzas. Worked at a couple places around the city.
What was your job in these places? What's your role?
Well, my role was... I never really made much of the pizza. I would occasionally, at Bellisario's, I was washing the dishes, and then I was delivering pizzas in a time of desperation for Bellisario's, where I didn't yet have my license, but I had my learner's permit, and they needed a delivery person so bad that the owner, Don, gave me his car and was like, hey, can you deliver this?
Can you get a hardship license just for a pizza shop?
I think so, yeah. I think you absolutely can.
I would be bad at that job. I'd want to eat the pizza.
Right. That's the issue. People they're giving someone their large pizza that misses 2 slices. That's just so, like, everyone just be okay with that, right? If you're going to eat the slices.
Well, so what made you transition from being a pizza eater to writing about it?
Well, it's something that, you talked about the people in Pittsburgh have like a very strong pizza opinions, and that those opinions kind of formulate around a couple key places, right? Like you hear Minio's, Aiello's a lot, Fiore's, like those.
Honestly, I've
very
never eaten any
traditional.
of those places.
See,
So
Squirrel
Yeah.
Hill was my first spot, so I
Okay,
was
yeah.
required to go there, I think within a week of living in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's like a welcome package of Pittsburgh is like someone escorts you to one of those places.
Literally, my neighbors took me.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to have this. And then you're like, okay, this is great.
And then they grill you to form an opinion
Yeah.
right then and there based on whatever you ordered that may or may not have been perfect that day. It's really funny.
And I've yet to meet anyone that has like come to Pittsburgh, has been forced to go to one of those places and like loved it. I think it is a product of like where you grew up, what you were fed when you were a kid that sort of forms your love for pizza. And I think people, outsiders that come to get Minio's, Aiello's, I don't think they don't love it very much, right? So, I mean, do you love it? What's your experience?
I think I was, if I'm remembering correctly, I chose Aiello's on the
Okay,
day.
yeah.
But I ate it both depending on what time of day I
Yeah,
needed
sure.
to go. There was a lot of 2 a.m. pizza stops, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah, totally.
I mean, that's always important, and it's nice to have a place that's open late because, as we know, Pittsburgh, sometimes it's hard to find late night food. So
Criminal. It's
that's all
criminal.
right. So, Dan, you've been eating pizza here for such a long time. Have there been any major changes in the pizza scene lately, or things you're really excited about that have been happening recently?
Yeah, totally. Pittsburgh, around like 2008, 2009, Pittsburgh really started changing in like a culinary way.
Absolutely.
Like a place like Salt of the Earth opened up, right, in Garfield. And that was like with the first like quote unquote huge restaurant in the city. I feel like that really like felt like, oh, this could exist in a place like New York or LA. Now Pittsburgh has it. And then more of those places started popping up. Dinette on the East End was another one of those places that served like, I guess San Francisco, California style pizzas. And at the time, the city was really, I think, embracing like artisan food, right? And so from that point on, there were, a handful, dozens of new pizza shops that were doing something different than like Minio's, Aiello's, Luciano's, Mama Lucia's, those places that were thinking very deeply about their ingredients, thinking about what goes on a pizza, making the dough, making the best dough possible, and really trying to push the limits of like what pizza could be. And so, you have places like SPAC experimenting with, veggie and vegan stuff.
In Garfield, yeah.
And Jerfoot Oven, right? Which is doing some really amazing stuff. Pizza Taglio, which doesn't exist anymore, but they were, spearheading this like Neapolitan like renaissance in the city where it was like amazing wood-fired pizza that was like, incredible. Like you couldn't get pizza like that here before. That was just amazing. So there's so many new places like Ironborn, Mercurio's, that have, and Badamo's, I think, is doing a great like New York slice. Especially their square pizzas, that these places didn't exist and wouldn't have existed, like 20 years ago. But it's only recently that the culture has changed, like embrace and support these places. And now they could, grow and thrive.
Yeah, I think Badamo's, as someone from New Jersey who has very strong pizza opinions and has eaten many New York slices, I do think Badamo's probably comes close to my favorite. But that being said, I think their Sicilian pizza is better, like the chewiness of it and everything. So I highly recommend popping in for either slice. I do know you can like customize your pizzas too when you order online, but everything they do is so perfect. I don't think they need a lot of toppings.
No. Yeah. This bread, I mean, this dough is so good. The Sicilian we have here is amazing. And I'm a square guy. Anytime I can get a square, I go for it. And I think Badamo's is definitely one of the top square pizzas in the city.
Does Pittsburgh have a specific pizza style? Like some cities are really known for something like that, a culinary tradition, if you will.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like many of our shops have been around long enough to maybe do that. I'm curious your thoughts.
There's like outside the city, there's like Ohio Valley Pizza that is that, odd square pizza, sauce on top type of thing.
Is that the one with the not cooked cheese?
That is
Or is
sort
it
of a
Altoona?
variation of that.
Okay.
Beto's.
I think all of that, horrific to me.
It's
0
very
out of
scary.
10.
I've heard a
It's
lot
scary.
of people say that, but then they try it and they're like, actually pretty good.
Yeah, it makes sense. you know?
No, if you want cold cheese, just have a good pizza like left over the next day from your fridge.
But have you had it yet?
No, and I don't want to.
See, the trick with that, though, is you get it to go, right? And then it's the steam, it sort of like melts the cheese a little bit. So you're almost not supposed to eat it there. You get it to go, and then when you get home, it's like lukewarm cheese. Is that better for you to have lukewarm
No,
cheese?
that sounds actually worse.
Steamed cheese?
No,
That's what they
thank
should,
you.
that should be their tagline.
So what's your favorite pizza? Do you have one?
You know, it really does vary on the day of the week, the time of day. Actually, this will be the 7th day in a row I have eaten pizza, oddly enough. And that was like, I did not plan that out. It just organically happened.
Everyone behind the scenes just raised their eyebrows in a really sincerely concerned way.
It's nuts. You know, I think what's great is no matter where you are, neighborhood-wise, there's good pizza everywhere. And so, you know, it varies. Like if I want like a classic pizza, I'll go Spack. If I want something a little nicer, you know, Driftwood Oven. Spirit's really great on like, you know, fun, you know, not going out to the bar, happy hour occasions. But yeah, there's no shortage of great pizza out there. So it really does depend.
And on the flip side, is there any type of pizza you will not touch?
Wow. You know what? No, I don't think so. I did have the opportunity to have that Altoona Hotel pizza. Have you seen that?
I've seen pictures of it. I've not personally eaten
I
it.
gagged the first time I saw one, like
Yeah.
out loud.
It does seem like it was made in some weird lab that should just be like desecrated. And it is kind of, I guess, a tourist trap in some ways. And it's very effective, you know. It is bizarre, and I've had it. And it, you know, after eating that, I'm like, you know what? I'll eat anything, I guess. I'm finding out about myself. Like, I'll eat, if it's in the shape or form of a pizza, I'll put it in my body.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
There's a big difference between talking and reporting, especially right now with a fire hose worth of news coming your way. You know what helps? Having reporters in the field. I'm Brad Milkey from ABC News, and that's what we've got on ABC's daily podcast, Start Here. Every morning, Start Here takes you across the country and around the world for a quick, smart look at the stories that matter. It's fast, it's straightforward, and sometimes, gasp, news can even be fun. So let's meet up tomorrow morning. Listen to Start Here wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so Dan, once again, you've tried so much pizza. So I thought it'd be fun to throw some very detailed preferences at you so you could help our CityCast team find their ideal slice.
Yeah, let's start with a basic cheese. This request comes from producer Elizabeth Kama, and hers is so specific. The sauce cannot be too sweet. Number 2, the dough cannot be too puffy, nothing like bread, but also not thin like a cracker. Not too doughy, not undercooked, and not too much cheese. She also thinks that there's a limit to how many cheeses should be on a pizza.
Yeah,
I disagree. If the cheeses match, the cheeses will work.
Look, this is for Elizabeth. What do you
I
think?
know.
I will say real quick about the cheeses. I've only had one pizza that I feel like successfully had multi-cheese on it. It was from Driftwood Oven, a 4-cheese pizza they have in the summertime. That was amazing. But thinking back to, okay, that very basic cheese, I'm also anti-sweet sauce. I feel like what you're looking for is like a kind of a classic, you know, pie, like a Fazio's, I feel like might fit that bill.
Okay.
That's on Penn Avenue in
Right near
Bloomfield,
me.
right
Come
there,
visit,
Sophia.
Elizabeth. We'll share some pizza.
And I also thought maybe like Angelo's in Bloomfield, you know, like something that is like a good classic pie, maybe like a Mama Lucia's downtown would fit that bill, where it's like not too much. It's like somewhat subtle. It, you know, believes in itself. It's not trying to showboat too much.
Okay.
And our next request is from executive producer Mary Lee Williams. She's a vegan, so she wants a vegan pizza with a soft crust, flavorful sauce, and bonus points if the vegan cheese is actually good. I feel like that should be part of the requirement, but I didn't write this.
I don't know. Vegan cheese, is there like good vegan cheese out there? I don't know. But I did think about this. Obviously, Spirit, I feel like, you know, which I think you might be aware of. That's what I would recommend to them. Also, Spack Brothers is great. But there's also Black Cat Pizza. And Black Cat Pizza is Nick. He's like, you have to get him on Instagram. He has a forum that comes out weekly.
Ooh.
He does pop-ups too around the city. He's at a couple of breweries a week. And Black Cat Pizzas, like, they're very vegan. He was like at like the Vegan Fest or something.
Veg Fest, yeah.
Veg Fest, yeah. He was there and he had, vegan pizza. He does a cashew, like mozzarella. So I think I've never had it, but I think that might fit the criteria as good vegan pizza. He does an amazing job. So
Mary Lee's also a cat person, so double bonus.
there we go.
What about gluten-free? No one asked us for this, to be clear, but we feel like it's important.
Yeah, gluten-free. I just wrote about this recently, and I interviewed the chef at Ironborn about it, because Ironborn Pizza just rolled out gluten-free. And if you know Ironborn's a very deep, thick pizza, right? Detroit-esque style. And I was interested in, like, okay, how do you develop a gluten-free dough, right? Because traditionally gluten-free doughs are not going to rise as much.
Yeah, but they're thick.
They're thick. They're thick boys and girls. And so I talked to her about it, and she said, okay, well, they got the recipe from Mercurio's, actually. So Mercurio's has sort of pioneered this, gluten-free dough. Everyone in the new pizza world in Pittsburgh are friends.
That's so fun.
And so, they kind of share the recipe, and the Ironborn people like tweaked it to their liking. And so,
I love that.
So
What a
Mercurio's, you
wonderful
could get like a
story.
nice Neapolitan wood-fired gluten-free pizza, which is pretty rare. And then go to Ironborn and get your thick pizza.
So speaking of wood-fired pizza, that's one of newsletter editor Francesca DeBecco's favorites. So any other spots where you can get wood-fire, bonus points if there are mushrooms on it, or it's a place where you can also get a good margarita.
Yeah, Francesca's a vegetarian, so
Okay.
we're still leaning on that side.
Nice. Yeah, so, I think when it comes to wood-fired, you got to go Mark all the way. Pizza Taglio, which doesn't exist anymore, was like the best in the city.
Stop giving us
I know,
recommendations
sorry.
for
It
places
just-
that aren't there anymore.
That's not helpful at all. But they're important to the ecosystem. But, you got Mercurio's. They're like top 5 in the world, right? They go to Pizza Expo every year. And they compete, and they rank really highly. And they're competing on just their mark, right? They're a very classic mark against the globe, and they do really well. And Gus Franco's, right, as far as like a good wood-fired pizza, they're up 28 near New Kensington, but they're definitely worth the journey. Some of the best wood-fired pizza I've had in recent memory.
One more for the CityCast extended family. Pittsburgh's best salesman, Owen Gabby, he's our newest member. He wants your best thin crust option. Not picky about topping.
Yeah. Thin crust. Wow. I don't know. I think like Mama Lucia's, classic, thin, traditional style pizza, I would definitely go for that. Something crispy, almost like Badamo's, I would say. Like I like a crispy.
That is not a thin crust, though.
But
Well,
the
that-
edges are so crispy
Yeah.
and have a good crunch.
No, absolutely.
They have
it's a great
round-
crunch. I will give you that, but that is not a thin crust.
They have a round that is thin. Now I will go back to Fazio's. Fazio's will do. Here's a pizza hack. They'll take a medium pizza and they'll stretch it out to a large. So if you want like that style of pizza that's more like New Jersey-esque, Fazio's will do that for you. So.
Well, our last recommendation
Yes,
then.
for my New Jersey pizza heart. Does Pittsburgh have any penne vodka pizza? I am not talking about vodka sauce. I want the pasta
Yeah.
on my pizza. It is the thing in New Jersey. I promise my local pizza place does it. I get it every time I go back.
It's
Sophia
crazy.
talks about this
Yeah.
so much.
I have a
Help her.
friend who moved from New York here, and that's the first thing we talked about was like, he was like, you have to have this penne vodka pizza. I'm like, well, that doesn't exist. And then he showed me like videos online. And so it is a real thing. I can confirm. You're not.
Can you
making
use
that
your
up.
influence to get someone to consider
Yeah,
it for their menu?
no one has done it. I've not seen it here. I've made it myself a few times, and
Okay,
it's
we'll
definitely
share tips
interesting.
after this,
But
then.
yeah, if anyone out there does it, maybe I don't know about it, but I've not seen it.
If
Womp womp.
you or anyone you know makes a great one, please let us know.
Please.
It's a
You can
pizza.
reach us. You can call, leave a voicemail, or you can text us. We're 412-212-8893. Dan, before you go, we have just a few more categories for you, super quick. So specialty pizza, whatever that means to you. What would you pick?
Wow, Ironborn to me is probably the most special. It's so decadent and amazing, so I'd go that.
Best drunk greasy slice.
You know what, Fazio's.
That's
They're-
what I was
They're
gonna
open
say.
somewhat late.
That would be my pick too. I love their Hawaiian pizza, so anyone who hates pineapple, too bad. But theirs is really good because they also put bacon on their Hawaiian pizza. So very salty, very acidic, very sweet.
I'm very pro all of those things. What about, on the flip side, something outside the city?
Rockaway is a must visit Go to Rockaway Pizza. It's the best pizza I've ever had.
I've heard that name.
It's
That's
like a 20-minute
big statement.
5. Yeah.
Best pizza you've
So
ever
good.
had?
It's amazing.
Okay. Somewhere with good food, good ambiance, like nice date night.
Yeah. So I think Pizziolo Primo in Market Square. Good, day night spot, nice, cozy place.
That's good for this squad. Maybe we'll wander over there one night. What about not necessarily a Pittsburgh spot, but do you have like a go-to frozen pizza or takeaway thing?
Yeah.
This may or may not be from me because I've gotten really frustrated with soggy crusts when they sit in a takeout box for too long.
Like a frozen pizza I like is Rayo's, right? They do a good frozen
Their
pizza.
sauce is amazing.
I love their sauce. I just picked one of those up from a Giant Eagle. I haven't eaten it yet.
You also get Roberta's. So Roberta's is a New York place, and they like freeze dry their pizzas, and so they're in a bag, and so it's basically getting like a Neapolitan pizza.
Okay.
So I definitely check those two out.
Someone buy me that for Christmas.
Yeah, and then that takeout option, one that you think actually benefits maybe
to-go
from
pizza?
from
Wow.
being in a box.
The weird steamy cheese one.
The steamy cheese. I think Beto's takes it. Yeah, that's takeout only.
And very last, any honorable mentions, like places we didn't get to maybe, but you still think you tip your cap for whatever reason.
Like Gus Franco's I mentioned previously, but they're kind of a hike too. I definitely check them out. Rockaway is huge. Driftwood Oven, if you haven't tried that, it's like worth having. It's definitely a unique type of pizza. And throw some of the Spack and Spirit. Those are like my staples in my life. So yeah, there's no shortage of good pizza out there. Just don't be afraid to try some new pizza.
Dan, thank you so much. You can find Dan in the Pittsburgh Pizza News on Substack. It's at pizzawalkwithme.com. We'll have a link to that in the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter as well as the show notes. And Sophia, thank you for your strong opinions.
Absolutely happy to bring them. And Dan, once again, thank you for the recommendations. I have a lot of places to check out now.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, y'all.
Pizza you later.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're liking what you hear, please leave us a nice rating and a good review. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
Badamos.
Let's call the whole